Our next speaker, Tony Eades, brings over 25 years of business and marketing experience. Over this time, Tony has built a few successful businesses of his own, as well as helping thousands of others to build theirs. Please join me in welcoming Tony as he takes us through all things brand and strategy.
Thank you very much. That intro of 25 years makes me seem really old compared to everybody else tonight. But anyway, we got the excitement. If I just go through, get up to our slides here. So super excited to be here today because I'm always excited about startup business because we were all one of those at one time. I remember I was a startup business right here in the hills in 2009. And then we've grown our business. We merged, fast forward to July 1 with another agency in America. We started as a team of 3 right here in the hills. We're now a team of over 65 and growing with offices in LA, Sydney, Melbourne, and Perth. So startups are exciting. And I think for all businesses, if you're not a startup here tonight, then think about how passionate you could be tomorrow by thinking of yourself as a startup again. Because we sometimes lose that kind of excitement. So I want to talk to you tonight about how everything's changed a little bit in terms of the way marketing especially has gone. There are so many people out there with fantastic ideas that never see the light of day. There are so many people out there with fantastic businesses that no one's ever heard of. So tonight I want to talk about a little bit how do we get known for our startup businesses and how do we get known for our existing businesses and how do we grow them. But this slide just kind of sets the scene about how far we've come just in such a short period from the 1980s through to the first smartphone. Who remembers those very first little smartphones that we had? And then we got into apps. And apps started to change the world in terms of how we did things. And then we started messaging people. We started to get away from our email. And we started getting on things like Slack and all these other things and starting to get into this thing which we call conversational marketing. It's now all about having conversations with your customers, conversations with your prospects, rather than trying to always sell to them or promote to them. And what's actually happened as we've moved forward is that a lot of brands have become what I call disconnected. So I want to just share with you why it is I believe brands are disconnected, and as a startup business, why you need to be connected and why you need to start creating a really connected brand from the ground up. The reason is this: friction. One of the biggest things right now that you can do to make your business successful and your pitch successful is to show people that there is no friction in doing business with you. We have to remove the friction. And the reason we have to remove the friction is because the stats are telling us by 2019, there's going to be 27.8 billion more queries on a mobile than desktop. I mean, this is the world we're living in. This is the disruption that we're kind of going through now. And you guys, if you're starting a business, are creating a business in this world of disruption. But it also is the greatest opportunity. So when you think of your business model, this is a guy called Gihan Pereira that talks about businesses that are slow, bumpy, and expensive, or what we like to call full service, 9 to 5, close for lunch, and buy first, use it later, are going to be replaced very, very quickly with a new generation of business which is fast, flat, and free. These are the businesses that are self-serve. These are the businesses that allow you to search for product, find product, and try product. They're open 24/7. They're online, they're offline, they're everywhere because you've removed the friction from doing business with yourself and buying your product. And the reason is, of course, and we heard a little bit about that with Thomas before, the buyer today has changed completely. You know, right now we need to always be thinking, instead of how can we make our product 10 times better, we need to be thinking about how can we make our customer experience 10 times lighter. Frictionless, that's what it's all about. And the reason is because our buyers are more informed than they are. They know what they want. They've done their research online before they speak to you, as we heard before. But also the buyer journey looks like this. It used to be so simple. It used to be A to B, a very linear buyer journey. It's now all over, up and down, touch points happening across the whole relationship as you're trying to build it. So what I'm going to show you tonight is how do we work with a buyer that's more engaged or educated than they've ever been before, and a buyer that is over multiple channels. The first thing starts with a thing called a brand. So what you're building today when you're pitching, you're not pitching a business, you're pitching a brand, right? Simon Sinek, who's heard of Simon Sinek? Good to see. If you haven't, check out Simon Sinek, and his TED video starts with why. If you sell what you do, you're a vendor. If you sell why you do it, you're a brand. But the question is, a lot of people say, well, what is a brand? Like, a lot of people still think it's a logo. You know, it's the pretty colors that you have. It's the name of your business. The best definition of a brand is this. A brand is what people say about you when you're not around. So just think about that for a moment. It's like you can do your elevator pitch when you're with people, but when you're not here, what are people saying about you? What are they saying about your business, about your brand, about your product? This is what we need to create so people say the right thing. Simon Sinek's golden circle that you've seen before talks about that people don't buy what you do anymore. They don't really care what you do. They don't care that much how you do it, but they're very, very interested in why you do it. So as a new business, the most important thing you need to harness right now in your pitch is why you're doing what you're doing. It's the why that people are going to buy into, your customers are going to buy into, your investors are going to buy into. It's also what your team are going to buy into. And if we look at one of the best examples of that, Apple probably do it better than most. If we look at what Apple's why is, this is what it looks like. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo, we believe in thinking differently. Now you imagine if you pitched that at the pitch next year, rather than, hello, we're Apple, we just happen to make great computers. So does Dell, so does IBM. What's unique about what you're doing? So this is how you need to start thinking about how your brand is. So if I read it through, everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo, we believe in thinking differently. How? By making our products simple to use, beautifully designed, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers on the side. So the focus is now on the why. So think about that as your businesses and how you're going to pitch it. What is the why you do what you do? That's what people care about, and that's what makes you unique over any other business in your market. Talking of which, we also need to be aware of who is in the market. So where do we want to play? This is a very simple competitor matrix. High price, low quality, high quality. Before you go into the pitch, think about where are your competitors? And this is not where you think they are, but where do the prospects out there, the audience, think they are? So you might know that they're terrible, they're low quality, low price, but they pitch themselves as high quality, high price. So plot out your competitors in your market so you really understand where you're going to play, and then put where you are right now or where you want to be. In some cases, it can be that you might decide not to play in the quadrant where everybody else is. You might look for that blue ocean strategy and say, well, I'm going to create a product that's high quality, but it's low price. And then you've created something that will stand on its own. It's that blue ocean versus the busyness of the red ocean. And then think about how are you going to talk to your audience? What is your brand voice? This is a great thing I'm happy to share with you guys, but a lot of times you just go out there and you just go, blah, this is me, this is what I'm about. But you know what? If you go through this little exercise and say, well, okay, as a brand, what's our volume? Are we in your face or are we whispering? What's our energy? What's our sociability? What's our attitude? This gives you that conversational platform for anybody and everybody that works with you on how you're going to communicate. Your sales team, your marketing team, you know, how you're going to write your content. It has to fit with this, what we call brand voice. And then we need to understand all it's about in marketing today is as simple as this: the right message to the right people, the right time, giving the right information on the right channel. I say it's simple. To do it manually isn't, but I'm going to show you how we can do that. But you have to do it every single time, because one of the things that gets missed, and we heard that little clip before that was shared from Richard Branson and his hotel experience. They might be a fantastic hotel. They might be 5-star, but these little things are the things that break the experience that you have with the brand. So today we've got to think about how do we deliver this omni-channel experience, you know, so that it's seamless, it's frictionless between everybody. From our online marketplace to our social networks, with the focus all the time on the customer. It's the customer that counts. How can we make it more frictionless for our customers? From a marketing standpoint, we put a big red cross about the thing called the funnel. Okay, everybody's used the funnel up until tonight, but from tonight, you're not calling it the funnel anymore. It's now called the flywheel. Okay, and the reason we have a flywheel as opposed to a funnel is the funnel finishes on customers when we know that's where the relationship starts. The flywheel is a seamless, spinning, motivational kind of delivery that goes across the whole area, from marketing seamlessly to sales to service. And then if we look after and delight our customers, they tell more and more people about it, and the wheel flows again. Again, our customers are at the center, and the flywheel just keeps on spinning. If we kind of make that a little bit wider, you can see that funnel before still fits on the whole thing. But right now, we're talking about attracting them first as strangers to visitors, converting them through the process from visitors to leads or people that we know we want to talk to, closing them through the natural progression. We don't call marketing and sales two different departments. It's called the smarketing department, because sales and marketing work together. You know, the client doesn't know, the prospect doesn't know. One hands to the other, and then the service department comes in to do the delight stage to become brand ambassadors and promoters. So if we follow this, we won't be a disconnected brand, we will be a connected brand, okay? And what I've done is put it into these three kind of areas here. If we look at what a connected brand looks like, there's three main areas: brand engagement, buyer behavior, and growth automation. If we layer that up just a little bit, the actual area between brand engagement and buyer behavior is what we call conversational marketing. This is the connection between how we engage our brand by understanding what our buyer wants. The next thing we need to do is think about marketing automation. That comes between technology as a growth stack and brand engagement. Understanding how engaged they are, especially online with our brand, delivers marketing automation and helps us grow our brand. And then finally, sales enablement is when we actually are understanding when our buyer is ready to buy or engage with us, and using technology to kind of help us understand when that time is right. So let's touch on those quickly. So buyer behavior is all about one thing, and it's basically your buyer persona. And you've heard a bit about that tonight, but so many people just don't understand who their buyers really are. It's not a target market anymore. It's a real person. This is one of our buyer personas. I know Mary as though she is a real person, because I know everything about her in terms of her key identifiers, her goals, all of the things that keep her awake at night, the challenges that she has. So we can create content for Mary, online, blog posts, whatever it might be, knowing who she is because we understand her. We also understand that her, like every buyer today, goes through a buyer journey, an awareness stage, when they are thinking about a problem, not sure what it is, definitely not interested in buying from you yet because they're still working the process. Consideration. Now they're weighing up the options and the solutions and are you the right fit for them? And then decision is when they're ready to speak to you, when they're ready to talk to you, to understand, what is it that you can do for me to help it work? Brand engagement, that next one that you saw on the circle, is all about creating things that people want to use. Hands up if you've downloaded an ebook. Okay? Keep your hands up if you've read that ebook from cover to cover. Okay, still a few of you. Okay, too much time on your hands. No, but to be honest with you, if it's a good ebook, you're going to read it just like as another book. But some of the things that are happening more now, and this is why this disruption's there, is interactive offers, calculators, things that people can use, they can interact with. With our growth stack, we can capture and track and look at how engaged people are by using these things. This is a ResMed one for sleep assessment to see whether they have potentially sleep apnea. You go through it all and you end up with a kind of, not a self-diagnosis, but it's that you could be at risk or not. This then reaches out to the sales team or the smarketing team to then actually reach back out and say, well, let's just talk to you about some of the solutions and stuff you can have. They can also go online, and they can continue this conversational marketing by a thing called chat bots or nurture bots, which can work on your mobile, can work on a website. These things are 24/7. They work all the time. Like, this is that stuff that goes back to that kind of omni-channel frictionless band experience. We haven't got time to go through this now, but at the end of it, it books a meeting in my calendar for tomorrow. Now, when I'm standing here with you today, this thing's working on the website, finding out what somebody wants and booking into my calendar. Tomorrow I come in and there's a meeting in my calendar and all of the transcript of the conversation that the bot has had with that prospect. A quick question for you. 100 million hours of videos are watched every day on Facebook. Again, it's this disruption. Video has to be part of your presentation, part of your engagement. Video is so easy for people to watch and engage and understand. The most complicated of products. So think about it. If you're thinking about Facebook, think about Messenger. If you look at the apps that people have had on their phone, this is what it looked like in 2011. Who had these things? Angry Birds and a whole bunch of other things on there. But this was what was happening. This is how people were using their phones in 2011. If we fast forward a few years, it looks like this. These are the most popular apps. And what do you notice about all of them, besides most of them are owned by Facebook? They're messaging apps, exactly, because it's conversational marketing. But messaging apps is because of this. Because messaging apps, look at this, global monthly active users for the top 4 messaging apps have surpassed the big 4 social networks. More people, more users are using apps to connect on conversation and messaging than they are using the actual social platforms themselves. And it's not just business to consumer or me and you, it's also business to business. As you can see here, the massive growth. So you've got to think about how do we communicate on a kind of chat basis, this conversational way. And this is the stuff to include in your pitch, because the question's going to be, you've got a great idea here, how are people going to know about it, and how are you going to make it sticky enough so that people stay connected? And then finally, you can't do this manually. I mean, I think you probably got the idea that you would be up all night, every night, checking everybody on every messenger, answering every message from anybody that sits in any part of the buyer journey if you did it manually. So you go out and you say, okay, I'm going to buy some technology. 2011, there were 150 companies in the marketing or MarTech landscape. Guess how many there are today? 5,000 plus. So there's your job. You sort of go out and you go, okay, so where do I start and where do I finish? And the problem is if I buy the wrong thing or invest in the wrong thing, then it's very hard to rewind that back again. But this is, the challenge that marketers have today is, what is it? So I'm going to share with you one, and I'm not here to promote or sell HubSpot, but HubSpot, who knows HubSpot? Yeah, you guys heard? So that circle that you saw before, if you had one technology platform that you could use that kind of did that whole flywheel, then HubSpot is one of those options. You've got attraction tools, right? Things like calling, prospecting, email templates, meeting scheduling, booking you in. You've got engagement tools that track your deals in the pipeline, video engagement, playbooks and email sequences, and then Delight. So when they're very ready to buy from you, you can send them quotes. You can track how they go with those quotes. You can get them to sign electronically. It's friction removed across the whole buyer journey from this part to that part. And it's called the HubSpot Growth Platform because it's all about growth. It's all about removing friction. So think in terms of whether it's HubSpot or not, there's other technology platforms out there, but you need that growth platform to make it happen. So you end up with a connected brand. Brand engagement, being tracked, engaging with your brand and your prospects, understanding the buyer journey. When they're ready to buy from you, that's when you talk to them, not before. Because if you've got good technology, they can stay in the system forever. It doesn't matter. But when they're ready to buy, you nurture them down and call them. And then the growth technology stack drives everything for you to do all the heavy lifting. So I'm going to finish with one slide. And one slide about why it is so important for every business to be a brand and why it's important to create a connected brand. And this is why. This is the way we are moving. Consumers soon will only want to be connected with 5 brands. We're winding back. We don't want to be receiving emails and EDMs and everything from everybody else. We want to connect with brands that connect with us, that deliver the best experience. The challenge for us right now is, are we going to be one of those 5 brands? Thank you.